Hey everybody, once again, it's Kevin with Whiteboard, and I've got a great guest with me today. Normally we do some top producer spotlights, but every now and then I get to bring in somebody from the industry that's helping folks like you out there produce and close more loans. And I'm so honored to have my friend and business partner, Dave Sims with Floify. Dave, how are you doing today, sir?
Good. Thanks so much for having me on, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. Obviously, the CEO, founder of Floify, you guys are doing wonderful things out there. Can you mind telling me a little bit about your story and how Floify came to be, how you guys got started?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So 8 years ago, my wife and I moved here to Boulder, Colorado, and we got into our house using some short-term financing. And then 90 days later, we refinanced. And just me going through that refinance process, me as both as a borrower, and I felt terrible for the loan officer assistant. She just spent her day in Outlook email saying, can I get your tax returns? Can I get your W-2s? And then I forgot some stuff, and then she'd have to bug me. And then I encrypted my tax returns because I'm a geek. She's like, I can't open these. So just through that process, I just knew there was a way to make it better. And so that was 7.5 years ago. And we did our first code check-in just a touch over 7 years ago in June of 2013. And so a million things have changed since then. It's like a whole new world, but that was how Floify got started.
That's a pretty amazing story. So you've never originated before, is that accurate?
I never have. I didn't then, and to this day I haven't.
But you do have an NMLS, is that correct?
I do. I did it just because I wanted to know what the process was like for all the loan originators out there. And so I went and got licensed, and I keep it up every year, but I don't originate. I never will, but it's just, to me, it's a small piece of education.
Well, I think that's really important. And so one of the things that, in Floify and Whiteboard, we developed a connection between our products. So it's going on close to a year now. I know the conversation started about a year ago. And one of the things that we've always liked about you and your company is, and we can recommend our customers there with the level of sincerity and altruism, is that we can say that the people at Floify are really good people. And I think that's a demonstration of you, is that someone who hasn't originated, but taking the time to not only get the license, but also go through the continuing education so you can understand about what your customers are going through on a day in and day out basis. And it's probably something I need to do myself, but something I truly respect about you and your organization. Now, help our folks out there who might not have a point of sale system or might be dealing with another point of sale system. What are the benefits of Floify? What are you guys bringing to the table for those lenders out there?
Probably the thing when I think about the loan originators out there and their teams, because they never want to forget about their teams, because that's how Floify got started. Again, I felt bad for the loan officer assistant.
Sure.
It is the loan officers, these high producers, they got where they are today using their own personal workflows that worked for them. And so at Floify, we do want to provide structure, but we don't want to provide our structure. We want to allow those high producers to provide their own structure. And so with Floify, there's just a million different ways to tune a workflow or the workflows so that the loan officer can still basically do what she's always done to hit those high loan volume numbers. She's just now doing it within a structured environment, lots of flexibility. We help our loan officer teams like fine tune and dial in their Floify setup just so, and then they're ready to rock their own workflows, which got them to the top in the first place.
Makes perfect sense. And so, and as you're dealing with the originators, I think one of the things that we have some symbiotic relationship in here is that you guys are really focused on that end user and how you can make it work for them. And obviously we've seen some growth in the past year and past few years actually in the broker channel. How is that affecting your business?
So with us, we're a little bit different from maybe a couple of our couple of top competitors who are also our friends, but we compete with them just like on the athletic field, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we serve brokers. We love brokers. They're our best friends. We have this great software suite to help them, but we also support large retail mortgage banks, as well as banks and credit unions. And so we've really just developed the software kind of in a bottom-up way, because when Floify, our very first customer, Melanie Taliaferro out of Austin, Texas, she, it was just her and her team came on. And so I learned so much about originating from Melanie. And then we've gone bottom up since then. And so then since going bottom up, we've learned the things that are really important to operations and compliance And the CEOs and the COOs who are constantly recruiting these top producers, like what tools do they need to recruit these top producers? And so I feel great. I love it because we serve the people with their boots on the ground, originating every single day. But at the same time, we're working with the operations and processing teams and compliance teams to make sure, you know, it all gets done correctly. So we really touch like a really wide swath of our customers, from enterprise, you know, big six-figure enterprise customers to you know, individual broker shops.
It's such a unique space to be in, and I think we share a lot of that together. And when you talk about the loan officer assistants and the processors, I mean, you're speaking our language there as well, because we all know that the loan officer really is their brand, right? That's the person that should be out there meeting face to face with the customers, with the borrowers, with the partners. But getting in there in that day in and day out grind of actually entering data and things like that can drive them a little nuts. So if we're able to connect with those loan officer assistants and those processors to help them to make their lives easier, then we can have some customers for life, right?
Right, exactly.
So so obviously we're seeing some great things in the market right now. How's it affected Floify? How are things for you guys in your business?
So I think we're probably experiencing, or have experienced through COVID, what any mortgage tech company has. So there was like just tons of uncertainty in March. Pretty much that's when the lockdowns came down hard, more or less. And with our really small customers, they were really unsure. And we saw that uncertainty with them. But with our large mortgage bank customers, they just powered through. They had great March, April, May, June, like they just had great months, just great months. And why shouldn't they? We're in the middle of a refi boom, right?
Correct.
And so like now that, I mean, obviously I think we're looking at COVID, and it's going to just, by all accounts, it just seems like it's just going to take a long time to come out of it. Looks like we're heading in the right direction, but it's not easy for folks. But I am seeing a lot of optimism among our customer base. And now that we're past what I would call the trough, the very, very bottom. We're not where we should be, but the very, very bottom. I'm seeing more and more optimism. People are getting back in the game. Our particular volumes, like the kind of things we watch within our system, like loan applications taken, activity with things like document uploads or text messages sent or smartphone push notifications sent, those numbers all continue to go up. So we had a spike in all those kind of numbers in March, because March there was just like this huge volume of refis, right? Then the spike came down, and then slowly we've seen those numbers come back up. So like our normal monthly processing is up to where the spike was. And so I just take that as good news. It means the whole industry is feeling more and more confident. And of course we've grown during that time as well. But you know, as they say, cautious optimism.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things that I feel that I'm very excited to be in this industry, not only because the market's in a good place right now, but because if it's done accurately in the right way, is that your mortgage is the biggest asset that most people have. And that can be one of the biggest things to help you get through some transition, because not everybody's in our industry, right? And so to be able to leverage a refi, to be able to shrink your mortgage payments so that maybe you can get by as your industry, as your market is dragging, is really important to us, because it does make me feel like we do good things for good people. And so, I mean, I think it's really important that we keep that in the forefront of our minds, not only us that are supporting our loan officers, but our loan officers as well. Now, so we had a connection that we connected a Whiteboard to Floify, like I said, about a year ago. That's obviously impacted our business a great deal. Customers really seem to like the fact that one Whiteboard doesn't hold any non-public private information. And so a lot of our customers will come to us and say, hey, where should I house my 1003 and things of that nature. How's it impacted you guys? I mean, obviously you have some connections with lots of different systems. How are you guys growing in the integration world, if you will?
So I'm a software developer. I did stop coding about 2.5 years ago, but I still have a lot of code in Floify. I'm really proud of that. So I've always thought of Floify as an integration hub, kind of a centralized place where a lot of different systems can tie in, because we do want to be that one place where the borrower goes. When the borrower is starting their loan application or just shopping around and looking for some contact info, but then once they start in earnest on their loan, all the way through to closing, even some post-closing communication, not like a CRM would, but you know, maybe a little bit of information, because we do house all that personally identifiable information like you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So what I am seeing, even though we try to be that integration hub, there are some areas that are more popular than others. CRM by far and away has to be one of our most popular integrations. So, I mean, even sometimes I think we have a blog post that talks about like some of the, top mortgage CRMs. And we still have people coming in saying like, hey, I'm looking for a CRM, and we have to gently like steer them away to one of our friends, and it's all good. But CRMs, I mean, if you think about it, CRMs is the lead generation tool, right? And so like everything starts with sales, especially in loan origination. So we've just tried to build lots of infrastructure to accommodate CRMs, especially Whiteboard CRM. I mean, you guys have been a great partner. And so we want to make it like really more and more seamless.
Mm-hmm.
So, you guys can provide all that great communications to the borrower, and then we can just facilitate, what a point of sale does in terms of, the loan application, document collection, milestones, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's really nice when those integrations work seamlessly, like you said, because it does, it just removes a lot of the burden off the plate of those teams so they can be effective and they can start processing more and more loans on a day in and day out, month in, month out basis. So really respect what you guys and your team are doing. You guys have been so wonderful to work with. If somebody is interested in getting on board with Floify, where should they go, Dave?
Real easy, floify.com. Just browse on over there, and there's lots of contact information right at the top.
Well, Dave, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. Thank you not only for what you're doing for the industry, but what you're doing for our loan officers out there. And I appreciate your friendship and our business partnership, and look forward to working with you for many years to come.
Likewise, Kevin, I really appreciate your friendship as well. Appreciate you. Have a great day.
Thank you.